From a cost and simplicity perspective, like if that's a problem, iron sights are fine. So think if somebody's buying a $600 Glock so they can start learning about shooting, buying an optic, it's like that's just more money. So you don't necessarily want to push that and be like, oh, you need to have this. It's like, well, they don't really. They could just start with the iron sights and add the optic later if they want. I mean, I think that's a perfectly reasonable point of view. Another school of thought is like, hey, I know that I'm going to be shooting a red dot because that's what I'm going to use at work, or that's the type of competition I'm interested in, whatever. I'm just going to get the red dot, put it on there and start shooting it straight away. I think that's a perfectly reasonable point of view. Now, what I have noticed be a problem when people are kind of on that learning curve, doing the amount of dry fire they need with the red dot to be like halfway effective with the red dot, or to prevent it from just really being annoying during training that they're new. A newer or less experienced shooter, when they're shooting iron sights, they start moving around and shooting, maybe leaning around stuff. And then, of course, they don't have their index down, or it's not a consistent position with their head on the gun every time. But they can see where the sights are, and then they can get their head behind the sights, aim at the target, and they carry on shooting. You can tell that there's a little hitch there. Well, there's the sights, they get behind it. But it doesn't wreck everything. So often with people who are new shooters or new to red dots, depending, they draw the gun up and then they start going, hunting around. Oh, there's the dot. Oh, okay. And then they start shooting. And then when it's move around and shoot, they get lost a lot, and it's super annoying for their training, because the red dot doesn't give you an indication of, where exactly you need to be to get behind it. Like if you don't have a consistent index or know exactly how this sight should look from behind to ensure that you're behind the red dot, when you don't see the dot, you could be hunting for it for a while. When I see that at a USPSA class, that it happens pretty frequently actually, that somebody will be an relatively experienced iron sight shooter, then they show up and they're like, yeah, I just got this gun with a dot, I'm going to shoot it in class. And you can tell that's definitely not the best way to do it. You're better off dry firing for a couple weeks and then trying to do some training with it. But over the long run, it doesn't really matter, because you're going to have to learn an index, that consistent grip and presentation. You still have to learn that no matter which sighting system you use. So it's like in the long run, I'm not really sure it'll matter. But short term, in terms of hiccups and stuff, it can matter. Another thing, like a short term hiccup, would be somebody gets one pistol with a red dot on it, and they shoot it a little bit, and then there's an issue with the dot, and it puts them off of shooting entirely for a while or something. Like that kind of stuff happens, and it's can be a little bit annoying. Just start with the thing you know you're going to use. That's fine. If you're in doubt, irons are fine. They're simpler. I mean, a little more forgiving in some respects, so you could shoot those, and then put a red dot on later. So that's my view.